Hi there. Welcome to the Brand Podcast by BaseX Studio and Project Studios. This show is focused on educating and sharing ideas around the importance and mechanics of branding. My name is Otto Abasibasi. I'm a brand strategist and designer, and I will be your host. In this season, we'll be going through the different components that make up a winning brand and the steps you can take to get there. We will also be having conversations with clients, customers, fellow colleagues in the branding space to discuss the opportunities, the problems, and the best practices in building a brand in 2024 in Africa across different categories of business, such as mining, finance, e commerce, and so on. It will be an amazing time, and thank you for joining us. In this episode, we'll be talking about unpacking your brand core. Last episode, we talked about branding as a whole, what it is and why it's important. We discussed the differences between branding, brand strategy, and brand identity. And today we'll be talking about the first and foundational step to crafting your brand, and that is your brand core. Now, these are the core questions: the who, the what, the how, the why. What do you do? How do you do it? Who do you do it for? And why do you do it? Might sound very, very basic, but one plus one equals two is the foundation of mathematics, and then we build from there. So these are the core ideas of branding, and this is where we start from. So the first question is, what do you do? And it's as simple as just state the basic um, operation of your business. What do you do? I shoot videos for clients. I teach people how to cook. I coach consultants on how to make more money. What is it that you do? Now, you want to state that as simply as possible, but then you now also want to start to reconsider and reword that into a way where you are addressing the real needs that you actually achieve for people. So, for instance, let's say you are a chef and you have a cooking class teaching people how to cook. Now, you could say that you teach people how to cook, or you could say that you help them feel confident to create delicious meals for themselves and their loved ones. One is utilitarian, the other one starts to speak to what it is people are trying to actually achieve when they use your product or service. When someone is buying your lip balm or your skincare routine, they're not just buying your thing, they're buying how they want to look, they're buying how they want to feel, they're buying self-confidence, they're buying a sense of beauty, a sense of self-worth. You need to identify those things. So what is it that you do? And when you start to understand that, you ask the next question: how do you do it? What makes you special? Now, there's many ways to do what you do. Let's say, for instance, you have someone who loves to make clothes, right? They love to make clothes, and maybe they sell clothes they sell clothes to people. Now, they could do this in a whole bunch of different ways. They could do bespoke tailoring, where you come to them and you tell them what you want. They design it for you. They measure you, and they, create that clothing for you. That person could also decide to mass produce and design the patterns and ship them off to China, get them made, get them sent back, and then put that in department stores. One person could decide to go into lingerie only. Another person could decide to do suits only. So it's like, okay, what do you do for people? And then how do you do it? What makes you different? What makes you special? Is there a secret sauce? Is there a unique approach? Is there, does your product have ingredients that no one else have? Or is your approach more holistic than what's typical for your space? You need to understand how you do it and how that makes you different from other people in your category. The other thing you want to think about is the who. Who do you do it for? And this refers to the beneficiary of your service. Who actually benefits from your service? And sometimes this can be different from the people who actually buy the service. For instance, parents buy, toys for their kids all the time, but they don't play with the toys necessarily, to give them to their kids. Their kids are the ones that, actually play with the toys, but their parents are the ones who make the purchasing decision. And this will highlight something that we'll come to later, which is the difference between your audience and the people and your customers. Your customers are the ones that actually buy from you. Your audience, in this case, the who you do it for are the people who benefit from your service. And the audience is everyone else. It could be the government. It could be other competitors, could be all these things, but we'll get to that a bit later. Once you've asked yourself what do you do, the how do you do it, and the who you do it for, now you got to ask yourself why. And Simon Sinek has this great book called Start With Why. And he posits that, when you start from a deep sense of purpose and a deep sense of understanding why you do what you do, why you're in business, that you are able to really, really resonate with the parts of our brains that make us emotionally invested, and your ideal customers will be attracted to you. So it's important not just to know, okay, listen, I'm doing this, or maybe you're just doing it for money, but find a purpose deeper than just that. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to say by building this brand, by building this business, by creating this thing? How are you trying to change the world? What is important to you? Once you start to, get a sense of that, you start to get a great story. So maybe you had a very bad experience in your life. Maybe, you had young kids and you couldn't find the right clothing with the right materials that, your kid wasn't allergic to, stuff like that, and then that inspired you to now create clothing that was comfortable for kids and, not allergic at all and things like that. Being able to connect things like that into your story makes your story richer and more human and resonates with people more. This is why it's very, very important to understand the why behind what you do. So those are the core questions, the foundational ideas behind your brand. You need to understand who you are. You need to understand what you do, understand how you do it, understand who you do it for, and understand why. Once you have these pillars in place, we can start to build on them to start to communicate that to the people who understand and who care about what it is that you bring to the table. And with that, you're well on your way on your first step to building your brand. In the next episode, we'll be discussing about understanding your audience. Like I discussed earlier, we want to understand who you do it for and who cares about your brand and who you should be talking to. This is the second step into building a winning brand. I will see you then in the next episode.